Who doesn't love their hair? Hair is part of our identity from the time that we were born, from the time we start growing hair out of our hair follicles. So, well, why should we care about hair? Well, you see, for me personally, I've been struggling with losing my hair since I was 18. I'm now 23. You can see it's pretty thin. Right? I've done tons of research on it. And believe it or not, there are many ways you can actually save your hair. 3 of which I will focus on today. Number 1 being that you can actually microneedle your hair, on your head. 2 being that you can actually use minoxidil, which we'll get into. And then 3, finasteride. These are all FDA approved ways besides microneedling. And I have actually done over 2,000 hours of research on this specifically. And I found 2 doctors, Dr. Linkov and Dr. Bloxham, Feller and Bloxham. So imagine one day you wake up and you look in the mirror and you notice that you can see through your hair, kind of like mine right now. You can kind of see through it, right? You can see how thin it is. What are you going to think? You're going to freak out probably. You're going to have anxiety. You're going to be worrying like, oh my gosh, am I losing my hair? Like, what's going on? You're going to start checking everywhere, right? So, what was my inspiration for this? Well, you see, I was once wondering the same thing. I once woke up and I looked at my hair and I was thinking, wait, are my temples receding? What's going on? And it just gradually got worse and worse over time. I think it was about 2.5 to 3 years before I even started anything. But I remember it started receding at the temples and then it got thin. And it's been getting thin. And so, I started doing some research, trying to figure out what I can do to stop and prevent it. And I came across 3 things. So, remember, it was minoxidil, finasteride, and microneedling. So, why is this worthwhile to discuss? Well, you see, it's because when you start losing your hair, it truly drains your self-esteem. It truly makes you feel very depressed sometimes, right? And the reason this is relevant is because most guys and even females, well, not most females, but most guys actually end up losing somewhat of their hair by age 50. It's actually over 50%. And most of those are typically at a Norwood 4. Girls as well. A lot of girls lose their hair in age 2. As you can see, grandmas are thin. Even though most people don't really think about that. So, what happens if you're losing your hair and you're using minoxidil and finasteride? Well, you see, sometimes in about, let's say you're using it and you start regrowing some hair and it looks thicker, it will actually you'll start losing it again because you never stopped the hair loss. You only slowed it down. So yes, your hair might look healthier for some years or a while, even just a couple months maybe, but it'll start thinning again, right? So what can you do? Well, the next best option is a hair transplant. That's where they literally take your hair out of the back of your head and put it on the top of your head in this area right here. So, let's go over what we've talked about. Balding is a thing that most people go through, most guys especially. Balding is part of your personality, it's part of your identity from the time you're born. But there is something you can do about it, so don't lose hope. So, for my concluding statement, hair is a part of everyone's identity from the moment that we were born. Losing it can be very upsetting and can cause major anxiety and worry. This is why I believe in doing all you can to prevent losing it. I used to not believe it was possible to almost stop my hair loss completely. But my eyes were open once I did enough research and started experimenting with different preventative measures. You can do the same thing. Do not let hair loss get you down. You can stop it. Thanks for listening.